Lisa's Landscaping and Home Improvement. Bob was born June 15th, 1964, and he's one of our 4 rookies in this year's field. Bob enters this year's Invitational with a fine 219.616 average. He is the brother of our 2020 champ, Mike Lear. They are our 8th set of brothers to bowl in the Invitational. For lifetime highs, Bob has 16 300 games and a high series of 804. Please welcome Bob Lear Jr. On lane 5 is Mike Lear. Mike is sponsored by Gled Hill Road Machinery Company. Mike was born November 21st, 1969, and in his 5th Invitational. Mike was our 2020 champion and 2021 runner-up. He enters this year's Invitational with a fine 219.73 average. For his career, Mike has averaged 227.41 for 78 games. He has 19 games over 250 with a fine 300 gain. Mike has 5 series over 700 with a high series of 811, his lifetime high. He has 9 series over 900 and a high 4-game series of 1,002. For lifetime highs, Mike has 17 300 games and 4 series over 800 with an 811 high. And on Wednesday night, he shot his 17 300 and had a 1,095 score. So please welcome Mike Lear. His opponent on lane 6 is Chris Traxler. Chris is sponsored by Joe's True Value. Chris was born March 3rd, 1969, and is one of our 4 rookies in this year's field. Chris enters with a 213.59 average. For lifetime highs, he has 300 games and a high series of 813. Please welcome Chris Traxler. On lane 7 is Phil Gable, and Phil is sponsored by E-Crane International. Phil is in his 2nd Invitational. He was born July 7th, 1992. He enters this year's tourney with a 218.9 average. Phil's averaged 207.92 for 12 games in last year's Invitational. He has a high game of 234, a high 3-game series of 671, and a high 4-game series of 861. For his bowling career, Phil has 3 300 games and a high series of 820. Please welcome Phil Gable. On lane 8 is Al Garvin. Al is sponsored by Al's Retro Alley. Al was born May 2nd, 1959, and in his 10th Invitational. Al enters this year's tournament with a fine average of 216.46. He was our 2012 runner-up and was 3rd in 2010. In his previous 9 tournaments, Al has averaged 218.53 for 118 games. He has 16 games over 250 with a 300 game. Al has 7 series over 700 with a 785 high and 12 series over 900 with a 997 high. For lifetime highs, Al has 16 perfect games, including one that took 8 days to bowl. He has 3 800s with a high series of 816. Please welcome Al Garvin. On lane 9 is Mitch Long. Mitch is sponsored by People's Savings and Loans. Mitch was born July 29th, 1958, and in his record 39th Invitational. He enters with an average of 223.5 average. Mitch was our 1981, 2011, 2014 champion. He was runner-up in 1978, 1997, 2010, 2013, and 2018. Mitch was 3rd in 1992 and was 4th in 1977, 1985, 1998, 2000, 2002, and 2007. He has 15 top 4 finishes, and in his previous 38 tourneys, Mitch has averaged 221.75 for 670 games. He has 97 games over 250, including 3 300 games, 47 series over 700. Mitch has 3 series over 800 with an 806 high, and 65 series over 900. He has 5 series over 1,000 with a 1028 high. For lifetime highs, Mitch has 19 300 games and 9 800 series with an 846 high. Please welcome Mitch Long. On lane 10 is Butch Pangello. Butch is sponsored by Pangello's Custom Equipment. Butch was born on May 8, 1964, and in his 11th consecutive tournament. He enters this year's tournament with a 214.35 average. Butch has averaged 223.27 for 166 games in his previous 10 invitationals. He is our 2014 and 2017 runner-up and was third in 2012 and 2015. He has bowled 30 games over 250 with a fine 300, 13 series over 7 with a 790 high, and 16 series over 900. And it has 4 series over 1,000 with a high series of 1036. For lifetime highs, Butch has 51 perfect games and 16 800 series with a high of 845. Please welcome Butch Pangello. On lane 11 is Nathan Monk. Nathan is sponsored by Mid-Ohio Flooring. Nate was born on June 6, 1991, and in his 10th invitational. He comes in with a 218.02 average. Nathan was our 2012 champion and one of 3 lefties to capture the title. He was the 2019 runner-up and 4th in 2011 and 2018. For his previous 9 years, Nathan has averaged 227.29 for 142 games. He has 33 games of 250 with a 297 high. Nathan has 12 series over 700 and has a high 3-game series of 810. He has 12 series over 900 and 6 series over 1,000 with a 1061 high. For lifetime highs, Nathan has 15 300 games and 7 series over 800 with a high series of 826. Please welcome Nate Monk. On lane 12 is Todd Enneman Jr. Todd is sponsored by People's Savings and Loan. Todd was born on October 30th, 1996, and is one of our 4 rookies in this year's field. Todd enters with a fine 215.5 average. He is the 13th father-son combo to bowl in the Invitational. Todd's father, Steve, bowled in last year's event. For lifetime highs, Todd has a high game of 299 and a high series of 737. Please welcome Todd Enneman Jr. On lane 13 is our defending champion, Curtis Groves, and Curtis is sponsored by Cycletech. Curtis is in his 4th invitational. He was born July 27, 1977. He is our defending champion. Curtis enters this year's tourney with a 209.96 average. For his invitational career, his average 221.00 for 51 games. Curtis has 4 games over 250 with a 279 high, 2 series over 700 with a high of 725, and 5 series with a 970 high. For his bowling career, Curtis has 11 300s and a high series of 815. Please welcome Curtis Groves. On lane 14 is Sean Ridgway. Sean is sponsored by Breezy's Pizza. Sean was born September 9th, 1974, and in his 12th invitational. Sean and Tasha are the proprietors of Suburban Lanes. He has averaged 225.80 for 200 games and placed 2nd in the 2001 appearance, 3rd in 2019, and 4th in 2015. Sean is a 2-time winner of the Suburban Lanes Mixed Invitational. He qualified with a 211.5 average. Sean has 38 games over 250 with 2 300s in the same tournament. He has 20 series over 700 and 1 series over 800 with a fine 808. Sean has bowled 19 series over 900 and 6 series over 1,000 with a high of 1071. He is the only bowler to shoot 2 series over 1,000 on the same double shift day. For lifetime highs, Sean has 21 300 games, 9 series over 800 with a high series of 859. Please welcome Sean Ridgway. On lane 15 is Terry Miller. Terry's sponsor is Phil's Deli. Terry was born on October 9th, 1957, and is one of our 4 rookies in this year's field. Terry enters this year's Invitational with a 218.28 average. For lifetime highs, Terry has 31 perfect games and 6 800 series with an 817 high. Please welcome Terry Miller. On lane 16 is Don McLaughlin. Don is sponsored by Bucyrus Blades. Don was born on September 5th, 1967, and in his 16th consecutive tournament. He enters this year as a superb 215.17 average. Don has averaged 230.07 for 259 games in his previous 15 tournaments. He is our 2010 and 2013 champion and our 2015 and 2020 runner-up. Don was 4th in 2006 and 2011. He has 67 games over 250 with a 299 high, 27 series over 700. Don has an 812 series, which he bowled in 2019. He has 37 series over 900 and 4 series over 1,000 with the second highest tournament series of 1085. For lifetime highs, Don has 23 perfect games and 11 series over 800 with an 848 high. Please welcome Don McLaughlin. And our first alternate this year is Chris Alsbaugh. Chris is sponsored by Bill's Computer. Chris was born January 21st, 1976, and in his previous 5 Invitational, he has averaged 214.43 for 60 games. Chris was 3rd in 2006. He has 6 games over 250 with a 274 high, a 3-game high series of 712, and he has 4 series over 900 with a high series of 938. He is one of our brother combos, along with his brother Tim, who was our 2004 undefeated champion. Chris is waiting in the wings for a chance to make the field. He missed the field with a fine 209.38 average. For lifetime highs, Chris has 2 300 games and a high series of 806. Please welcome Chris Alsbaugh. Okay, we'll turn the lanes on for a 10-minute warm-up after we have the mayor and law director throughout the first ball on lanes 9 and 10.
We got lunch on the line.
Oh, and Mayor Reeser said that there's lunch on the line, same as with the previous law director. So Brian, since you're the rookie, see if you can beat your boss.
Bill, we're going to do the national anthem.
Now?
Yeah. And then do this.
Hey.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Let them throw their ball.
Yeah. Uh-oh, we have a tie. One more.
A roll off.
Gotta have the roll off. Yeah. No. Law Director Brian Gerner. Guess the mayor, Jeff Reeser, is going to buy lunch. If everybody will stand for the national anthem. Okay, we'll turn them on and have 10 minutes of practice.
Obviously that one's pretty long, so I'm gonna guess we probably just 1240 spot block them. Coming up on the 120. That's all I got to say. There's no.
Regular ones? Yeah, they're not called puffy fries, they're just called French fries. You just don't want the fair fries, like the skinny ones. No. What's your favorite? You don't want your fries. They're just regular French fries. Good. You keep saying the puffy ones. The puffy ones. I'm like, there's regular. Regular French fries. Not the skinny ones. That's right, not fair fries. Trenton. Yeah, I don't know. Trenton walked away before. Down to asking Trenton's already asking for one. Salt and vinegar on regular fries. These are almost just like work that out themselves now and tell me. I gotta get another water because I got a full one and I drank like half of it before you really take a sip. So I better just get it so that way I'm not draining it. That head shake. He doesn't normally like one. So the only thing he ever really minds is when he has to get way less on one because he like Joe, are there towels up here somewhere? Somebody's got coffee that spilled down here and they put towels over it, but it's already soaked through the towels that are down here, so I was going to replace them. That way you don't get a bowler that's up here. Yeah. Thank you. I had to make my switch so he plays regular games tomorrow. So both days I might make it to the varsity. They only play like after.
5 minutes yet. 5 minutes.
I got it.
Sometimes I'm cash poor.
I don't take credit cards yet. I gotta start taking credit cards. Maybe that would.
Chris, you want 50-50?
Thank you.
You did good.
Sir,
Ma'am.
how you been?
Didn't sleep all night. Oh, good.
Fine.
Thank you.
Hey, we're buying lunch for everybody.
I'm buying it for Brian. Oh, these are mine. Where did you? Oh, okay. Okay, I'll give it to Schmidt there. Okay, I didn't have to.
2 minutes left, 2 minutes.
Yeah, I've never. I mean, I told you exactly. I think I've never. Oh, you won't? I was exactly. I gotta take my cut, you know. Kelly said you want to get your dad's Red Wings redone. I can do those, yeah. Yeah, it's easy. If you just drop them off when I'm not there, I will take them home and build a new, make a new intro for it. That's all. It's just, yeah, I got plenty. Yeah.
If you guys finish up, when Rahm with your ball now, then you get your started.
He can disagree with us. He can even criticize us. We don't care about that. We don't talk at us. We don't mess with him.
Okay, we'll get them turned on. Good luck, guys.
Good. How about you? Okay. All right. Yeah, thanks. Tonight, Reese had a real nice game. Yeah, really.
I haven't seen either one of the boys since then. Really? And they have no relationship with Brady. They just, and I don't really know why.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, I would love to be able to get a couple of Reese's games. Because I mean, a senior?
Yeah, I know, that's what I said, it's crazy. Yeah. When I hadn't seen Joe, I saw Joe when Reese was a freshman, and they were playing at Bushire. I bumped into him in the restroom, and Reese, just at that point. And yeah, he's a senior already.
Okay, the last time I saw him, he was about this tall. Is he very tall at all?
Yeah, he's probably 6 feet, I would say. He's a little bit taller than me, yeah. Yeah, good pretty decent shooter. Really inconsistent. Real high point. I would say his average is probably about, I haven't looked at anything else or MLAC stats, but maybe 12, 13. Yeah, that's a good player. And a good lead. Yeah, a good lead. So
That's why I asked where I am. We went out last night to the Crawford game because my granddaughter goes to school there.
okay.
And she was cheering at halftime. That's all we
Oh, nice.
We drove all the way down to the lake. And yeah, I got up this morning and
No, that's not yours.
that's the case. calling me. I said, I was going to go to Bucyrus today. I just hopped in the car. I just got up this morning, put the same clothes on I had on.
Come down.
Hopped in the car and came back.
Yeah.
What happens when you get old too, you forget things.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
I went to Florida for a month.
Okay.
Took a camper down in the camper. We literally just got back. Night before last.
Oh, okay. Good weather.
Okay weather. 60s, 70s. I mean,
Better than here.
amazing weather compared to here.
Better than here.
But not what you expect in Florida.
Right.
I even saw snow. We were in the Panhandle the first week, and it had snow flurries. You know, and like they were all amazed. You know.
Oh, they love it. We were at Disney World one year. We used to go down there at Christmas time when Zach was little or smaller. And we were down there one year, it was really cold. One of the rides we were going on, the girl said, oh, we're supposed to get snow flakes tonight. I hope you get them. And I'm looking at her and I said, I thought I tried to come away from here. Because I've never seen snow. And
Well, you got to give.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I just wanted to know. That's what you got.
I got a picture. Close you want to get to it.
Yes. Yeah. Here you go. Yeah.
Well, I feel good about that. We missed the storm. We had 2 snowstorms while we were down here. So I feel good about that. Even though it's still crappy up here, but
Yeah.
it's not bad for February.
No.
When I was bowling in the Invitational one time, I got knocked out in February. We went got home and got the clubs and we went to play golf in County
Yeah.
in February.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're going to get around.
No, you don't. That's right. That's right. Yep. We didn't really get a January thaw this year. It stayed cold the whole month.
That's a good thing, actually, because we've had just weird
I'd
weather.
rather get it out of the way if that's what it would do. We didn't get it earlier in spring.
Well, they say we're going to have this frozen lake is going to help with perch fishing next year. I'm hoping it does.
That could be.
Because it's been horrible.
Okay.
I mean, a good day on the lake is catching 8 or 9 perch. It used to be you were home by 10 o'clock.
That's the max.
About 7 or 8 years ago, yeah. It's changed. Oh, well, it's good to see. How is that?
He's doing pretty good.
I think I saw him since I've seen you. I've read into
He
his
works
stuff.
down at Newport, Steve, area. He doesn't like the shift. He had to give up coaching. He's working out at Ivy Tech with me. And he got this chance to go to Newport.
And let me tell you something. That's not overrated. Money is important.
Well, especially early when you're young, raise your family that.
Absolutely.
And then, later on, then and that's his goal. At some point, he wants to get everything, get things paid for, and then back off and go to a regular 40-hour-a-week job. 65 or something like that. But yeah, he makes well over $100,000. Those kind of jobs don't grow on trees around here.
No. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if they grow at all. You just kind of walk up on one. Like a little leprechaun drop one and
There
grab it.
aren't many.
No. Well, not unless you've got some kind of specialty.
And the thing is, you can get some pretty dangerous, pretty grimy jobs. He runs a crane, he's in an air conditioning, he's small, the only time he has to go on the top floor is if the line goes down. Then he has to go out and help get it going again. As long as the line's running. He's got a refrigerator, a microwave.
I had 2 uncles that worked in the steel mill, and they unfortunately didn't have that job.
Oh no, some of them. He said the melt shop is horrendous. They make more money.
Well, and they both lived long lives, and they retired fairly early, and they retired well. So I guess it was worth it to
You got
them.
the money, yes, you got the money. That's right. What's important to you? That's the thing. So, but yeah, other than that, my granddaughter's should be 11 next month, 5th grade. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. In fact, she's playing. I'm going to miss her. She's playing at halftime of the varsity girls game today. I think I can make it for the varsity game. I think this will be overtime.
That's why I got this one, because my granddaughter cheered last night at the park.
Yeah.
Just a little halftime thing.
Yeah.
It was fun.
She does that too. This year they didn't have the little girls cheerleaders. I don't know. Unless I missed it. I missed a couple of games, so I might have missed it when they did it.
It was senior night last night, and they did did it all.
Okay.
It may have something to do with it.
Right. Okay.
Well, I gotta say hi to a couple
Yeah.
of people, and I'm gonna head back up the lake. Yeah,
I'll
same
tell
here.
Zach I saw you.
Yeah, tell him I said hi.
Okay.
Bump into Joe, tell him I said hi.
All right.
Really, I loved them boys. I don't know why,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, that was a fun summer we had with them.
That was.
Actually, a couple summers, but the tournament run was really.
It was interesting.
Yeah, that was the cool part. That was the cool part. One you just never forget. I wonder if we still hold the record for the most runs scored in an inning.
That might be interesting. You can look that up.
I don't know. Look up the little. I'll see if I can look up Ohio Little League records.
There's got to be somewhere.
13-year-old currently. Yeah, what was it? We scored 17 runs or something.
Something like that. We were 12 down.
Yeah.
I remember that. I don't remember
It
how
was like 15 to 3, and I think we scored 17 runs. And the thing was, the amazing part about that was, I thought the game was over. Yeah, and yeah, we're putting our subs in and all kinds of stuff.
And who was the little skinny guy? What the heck is that? Dark hair.
Got a good job. Everything's going well. Hey.
That's amazing.
Oh,
It doesn't seem like that.
I know. That's why I was talking about my granddaughter's going to be 11. I said, I was talking to Jeff Mason. My oh, yeah, good guy.
That's crooked as hell. It's crooked as hell.
Oh, baby, we're hot. Is on my diet. somebody to buy Al Garden. If not, I'll split with you.
Jack.
You want to buy him? All right. What are you buying? I'll give you all the money here in a minute. $10.
Depends on deck on two. Depends on the deck on two. Go ahead and fix it. We'll wait on it.
Just take it from the fade. Rahm Invitational Bowling Tournament. Brought to you in part by John, Julie, and Gary Rossington at Ohio Auto Parts, 321 West Mansfield Street. Mandy Paez and Missy Stryker at Castle Auction and Appraisal. Hannah Newton at Wendy's Downtown, Cyrus and Upper Sandusky. Washington Auto Parts, your Napa dealer, East Mansfield Street and Stetson Road. Jim Spring, Tom Martin, Spring Capital Management. And Daryl Swinehart and Ashley Lutz at Ag Credit through Cyrus. We have with us Bill Hansen, and he's going to give us the results of the first game.
Okay, thanks, Dan. On lanes 1 and 2, Joel Butt had a 244 for the opening game against Brock Likens 192. On lanes 3 and 4, Dave Schock had a nice 268 game against Bob Lear Jr. at a 169. On lanes 5 and 6, Mike Lear had a 256 against Chris Traxler's 221. On lanes 7 and 8, Phil Gable had a 185, and Al Garvin had a 225. On lanes 9 and 10, Mitch Long had a 214, and Butch Pangello had a nice 268. On lanes 11 and 12, Nathan Monk had a 223, and Todd Enneman Jr. had a 178. On lanes 13 and 14, Curtis Groves had a 214 against Sean Ridgway, 237. And on lanes 15 and 16, Terry Miller had a 203 against Don McLaughlin's 259. So they're in between the third and halfway through the second game, and we'll be back here in a little bit.
Just a clarification for the folks listening, this is a scratch tournament for the men.
Scratch tournament, pin count falls is total, no handicap or anything like that. So whoever scores the most pins wins their match.
And then the matchups are just random?
They draw for the matchup, and then on the day today, we have them draw for their lane assignments. And then tomorrow on the first session, they will draw again for their lane assignments on who they will bowl. And then on the second shift, they'll draw for the lane assignments on who they will bowl then on that one. So today, half of the field will go into the losers bracket, and tomorrow in the first session, 4 of the bowlers will depart us, and then the next session, second session, will be 4 more bowlers will decide to leave, and after that we will be down to the final 8 bowlers
For the middle weekend.
for this weekend.
Okay. Appreciate your clarification.
Yeah.
And Bill will be back at the end of each game, and he will give us the results of those games.
That's Kim's bailiwick. Yep. Nice salt darkening. Basketball, yeah. That's why I tell people. Bad in wrestling, bad in volleyball. Swimming. Most okay at track. Yeah. Okay at track. Baseball, football, basketball. That's my wheelhouse. Brian, but sons of stuff.
It's been a good year for the Sour Bowling. It's looking good for the AV because they had a good record set.
Yeah. Yeah, freshman roll of 2 that year.
3 more years of that, hopefully.
Nice.
Joe, give Ridgeway and Terry Miller to buy. So whoever had them wins. And then we move on and reduce the prize by $5, I think. So instead of being 50 and 30, it'll be 45 to Terry and Sean.
I'll get sponsors.
All right.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. Well, women used to be 3. I guess they're going to 4 this year. But the Bills were on the radio station last night, they said.
Pick, your one-stop shop for motorcycle parts, service, and accessories. 9 blocks west of the Square in Bucyrus. Vince Ponziani at Waycraft Industries. Ron Hurst at Hurst Auto Body and Auto Rental. Route 4, Jessica in Bucyrus. Jeff Skinner at Integrity Auto and Truck Sales, Marion Road. And Mike Robinette at Trinity Monuments. And back with us, Bill Hansen, and he's going to give us the results of Game 2.
Okay, thanks, Dan. On lanes 1 and 2, Joel Butt had a 176 for a 2-game total of 420. Brock Likens had a 237 for a game total of 429. On lanes 3 and 4, Dave Schock had a nice 279 game for a 547 total. Bob Lear Jr. had a 182 for a 351 total. On lanes 5 and 6, Mike Lear had a 203 for a 459 total. Chris Trexler had a 227 for a 448 total. On lane 7 and 8, Phil Gable had a 220 for a 405. Against Al Garvin, had a 235 for a 460. On lanes 9 and 10, Mitch Long had another 279 game for a total of 493. Butch Pangelo had a 224 for a 492, so 1 pin difference on that match. On lanes 11 and 12, Nathan Monk had a 245 for a 478 against Todd Endeman Jr., had a 201 for a 379. On lanes 13 and 14, Curtis Groves had a 253 for a 467 total against Sean Ridgway's 207 for a 444. And on lanes 15 and 16, Terry Miller had a 204 for a 407 total against Don McLaughlin's 258 for a 517 score. So there's a few matches that are fairly close. The one between Joel Butt and Brock Likens, 9 pin difference. The match between Mitch Long and Butch Pangelo by a pin. Mike Lear, Chris Trexler, 459 to 448. That's only a strike. So there are some close matches here, Dan.
And you can see why Dave Schock was the overall leader in average when he came into the
Yeah,
tournament.
he's locked in right now, so he's a wrecking force in this tournament. So, and they're in about between the third and halfway through the third game. So we'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay, we'll be back with the
Okay.
results.
You could see what she was enjoying. Something chocolate. Al Garvin a little bit. He was my neighbor. Way back. I don't know if you remember when you guys were growing up. We used to live on Marion Road. We had a 2-story house right beside Garvin's gas station. Well then, now
too bad. Hey Joe, when does sectionals bowling start?
Boys is Thursday, girls is Friday.
Okay.
Diane probably still send me the results, right?
Yeah. I'm sure she will. She is here. I mean, you can ask her. She's right down there on the end at the snack bar. Her husband's hiding her. You can't see her.
Yep, I see it.
Bourbon Lanes. Where we are, middle will be 56. Bill Ranger Lanes tournament. To remind you that we are brought to you in part by Mike Kleinine at Ag Credit Residential Lending, Cyrus Marion and Mount Gilead, Kim Stanford at Jones Kitchen on Marion Road, Andy Shutt at Shutt Brothers Sales. Nobody sells more pre-owned trucks and SUVs than Shutt Brothers since 1945. The Kimmerline family of Cyrus Road Materials since 1939. Anthony Holt and Adam Weisner at Advanced Fiber Technology. Gary and Judy McKee at Quality Printing, 214 West Liberty Street. We have back with us Bill Hanson, and he has the results of Game 3 of the tournament.
Okay, thanks Dan. For lanes 1 and 2 on the third game, Joel Butt had a 175 for a 595 total for 3 games. Brock Likens had a 213 for a 642. On lanes 3 and 4, Dave Schock had a 220 for a 767. Bob Lear Jr. had a nice 246 for a total of 597 after 3. Mike Lear had a nice 214 for a 673 game. Chris Trexler had a 191 for a 639 game. On lanes 7 and 8, Phil Gable had a 193 for a 3-game total of 598. Al Garvin had a nice 267 for a grand total of 727 after 3. On lanes 9 and 10, Mitch Long had a 243 for a 736. Butch Pangello had a 181 for a 673. On lanes 11 and 12, Nathan Monk had a 190 for a 668 total. Todd Enman Jr. had a 223 for a 602. On lanes 13 and 14, Curtis Groves had a nice 299 game, left the 10 pin of course, for a grand total of 766 after 3. Sean Ridgway had a 212 for a 656 after 3. On lanes 15 and 16, Terry Miller had a 192 for a 599, and Don McLaughlin had a 234 for a 751 game. So there's, as you can tell by the scores, there's some big differences in scores. So they're into their last game right now, the 4th game, about between the 3rd and halfway through. So we'll be back in a few minutes to give the final scores.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Cameron's on his way back out. I can see if he thinks there's any adjustments he can make, but the Wi-Fi shows 4 bars, so should be strong. Not very. Right in the bottom of the middle. Cameron said he was going to leave about 2:30 and come out here shortly. Okay. Yeah, it's possible. Okay. Thanks, John. got 2 groups done already. People. Yeah, I looked down there and said, wow, they're done with 4 already. We just got off with 3. I just tried to fire on What's that?
What's that?
Didn't you guys go to school? Maybe not. I think Zach coached him.
Okay.
He was coaching high school baseball.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking he went to school. No. I think Zach had him on his JV baseball team.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'll have to ask him. There's one you don't see very often. It was so weird.
Maybe.
Knock that out.
You're the one responsible for streaming this?
Alright, well I gotta go out to tell him how you do another job.
Raj, let's see. I gotta get it on the shop.
That's awesome.
Takes a while.
Well, I just, think about you guys. By the time I sit down in the evenings, it's like,
I'm ready to sleep.
One and a half.
how's your kids?
It only comes in handy when I need it. It's really dry out. The way I throw it, it doesn't really work.
And if that's what he needs to do,
I made it. Yeah.
well, you know, I mean, why do you think he's a skinny little boy? I was always the smallest one around. I told you about that story about the drinking ground party. Well,
Hey Diane, you're going to still send me
Yes.
sectional.
I'll send you all the information and results. So what I do is, what I've done in the past was I just, at the end of sectionals, they usually have us the results by that evening on the spreadsheet. I just send it. I'll give us ours. I mean, we're going spreadsheet. No, sectionals going in there. Number one seed. Yeah.
I knew the record was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Beats are pretty big.
Yeah. Well, for this at this section, yeah, there'll be 12 schools. The boys have 12. The girls have 10 that they're competing against. But yes, I'll definitely send you all that. And if you want to, and I can even send you the information if you want to do anything prior to, because it's pre-sale tickets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you
So,
want to announce.
Yep, I will.
Starting Thursday.
Yeah, and we're also going to streamline it on Facebook on our they can watch because it's 10 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of yes, I know. About 2 years ago they started doing it that, and I think it's because the centers, have all the tournaments at night. I do all their leagues at night, and so for them to do away with it, so so instead we just pull kids out of school. But
it happens in other sports too.
oh yeah, trust me, they're all happy about it. So, but yeah, I will definitely send you all the information this week.
Anybody ever told you?
Oh, Tim, we do, and and working for the schools, there'll be people they'll hear my voice and they'll say, "Oh my God, I thought it was your sister that was in here." But yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So,
good.
You graduated with Deb, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yep.
So you know how old I am.
Yeah, I do. Okay, and I'm going to put in my plug. I'm 8 years younger than you.
Yes, I knew you were behind us a ways.
I was the baby in the bunch. Yeah, I know.
Pretty good. Just about everybody's done. I think there's one set here that has to be done yet. So, yeah, we should be out of there. I would not see any reason why not.
Shoot $2.99 lose the car.
Texted my wife to see if the grandchildren play. She hasn't texted back, so I'm assuming she's playing. I'm trying not to look at her phone until they're done.
You got all the looks from Curtis. You got all the looks from Curtis. You can tell you don't have any looks left.
One more ball. Yeah, he'll do the scores. I'll say, well, I don't know. Start time 12:40. Yeah, tip back after like 30 or 60 seconds more. That's all. But yeah, that's it. Just go straight to the live. He's coming up. I think he's got the scores. He's got something he's checking. Yeah, I think we should be able to. I think we should be able to go. How long you got on this song? How long on this song? Yeah. Right.
How about a nice hand with some great bowling? All right, we'll bowl double shifts tomorrow. Everybody bowl the first shift, and then the losing bracket will bowl the second shift. About 15 minutes, approximately 3 o'clock. So we'll start at 1 o'clock tomorrow. And the bowlers that just got done bowling, your family, we're going to have kind of a feed-in lounge, so stop and get something to eat with a little luncheon or whatever. I've got a 50-50 ticket that is 751, 942. Woohoo! $117. The last four numbers are 1942. No, the last four.
942,
Yeah, the last four.
751.
Yeah, the last four numbers are 1942.
Hospitality of folks here at Suburban Lanes. Ridgeway. Coach Robert Mangallo. Great job putting this tournament on.
Everybody that wants 50-50 tickets, check them. It's 1942 are the last four numbers.
Okay, thank you, Dan. On lanes 1 and 2, Joel Butt had a 267 in the fourth game for a grand total of 862. Brock Likens had a 246 for a grand total of 888. So Brock is in the winners, Joel's in the loser side. On lanes 3 and 4, Dave Schock bowled 233 for a grand total of 1,000 pins. Bob Lear Jr. had a 246 for an 843. On lanes 5 and 6, Mike Lear had a 205 for an 878 total, and Chris Drexler had a 185 for an 824 total. On lanes 7 and 8, Phil Gable had a 202 for an 800 even, against Al Garvin had a 213 for a 940. On lanes 9 and 10, Mitch Long had a 255 for a 991 against Butch Pangello's 192 for an 865. On lanes 11 and 12, Nathan Monk had a 210 for an 868 against Todd Endeman for a 192 for a 794. Curtis Groves on lanes 13 and 14 had a 235 for 1,001 pins against Sean Ridway's 222 for an 878. On lanes 15 and 16, Terry Miller had a 202 for an 801 against Don McLaughlin's 233 for a 984 game. So the way they'll bowl tomorrow on the first shift is Curtis Groves will go against Dave Schock. Mitch Long will go against Mike Lear. Al Garvin will bowl against Brock Likens. Don McLaughlin will bowl against Todd Endeman. On the loser side, Sean Ridgway will bowl Bob Lear. Second match, Butch Pangello will bowl Chris Drexler. Phil Gable will go against Joel Butt. And the last match in the losers will be Terry Miller and Todd Edmond Jr. So that'll be the first session tomorrow. So there's some great bowling today, some good scores. So it's a very good first day for the 56th Bill Ram Invitational. And as always, we have some good competition. Guys are having a lot of fun, and they like to beat up on each other, even though they bowl on leagues together. So
A couple of 1,000 series there.
Couple thousand, yeah.
One that was pretty close.
Yeah. Don McLaughlin had 984, so he had a chance at 1,000. So it's been a good day so far, and good crowd.
Yeah, like I said, the crowd picked up. You know, at
Yeah.
the beginning, it looked like it wasn't quite as big as it normally is.
Yeah.
But, boy, as the day wore on, people showed up.
It's really turned out to be a great crowd and so forth, and so everybody's had a good time so far. So anyhow,
We appreciate your help, Bill, and keeping us on the air here. And we want to remind the people that we'll be back in 2 weeks with the Bill Rain Finals, and it will be at the same start time, 12:40, and then it'll be just the final two polls. It'll be
Yeah,
a
yeah, on the
4-game
26th.
match, and
Yeah.
if the losers bracket wins, then you have a roll-off.
Right, yeah, and it's been happening the last 4 or 5 years that the loser has beat the unbeaten, and to go into that 5th game roll-off.
Hard to
so
go through undefeated.
it's real tough. So
There's so many good.
it's and you have a certain point where you, like I was talking to Bob Lear, he said I was hitting the pocket and wasn't getting the carry, and I know that from experience. And whatever you do, you can't do anything else. You just keep it there and hope that the pins fall for you with some luck. That's about it.
All right. Well, again,
So,
thanks.
okay,
Bill,
thank
for
you,
your help,
Dan,
We'll
and-
look for you in 2 weeks, and we'll have the results on Crawford